Welcome to Murder and Everything Else. My name is Joy.
And my name is Cheryl, and Joy and I are two very old friends who are going to talk about murder and everything else.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, Cheryl, this is very exciting, but you're never going to guess what I did yesterday.
Since I'm never going to guess, you're going to have to
I
tell me.
scheduled my very first colonoscopy.
Oh, I'm
Have you,
sorry.
have you had one of those?
No, I don't want to have one.
Cheryl, you need to schedule one.
Joy.
Okay, so I've done the poop in the box thing twice. So now I'm going to have the real deal. And somebody's going to have to reach out. Do you get one once a year? Or once you get one, do they let you get one like every 2 or 3 years? Like, what's the, like, how often do you get it?
Well, I'm not an expert, but I think we could look it up. I think it's like every few years. Like it's not often. It's not every
Mm.
year. However, if they find polyps while they're in there, one of the good things is they can remove it right then and there during the examination.
And then what do you
Um,
do with the polyps? You take them
but
home? What are they?
yeah, you get a trophy. They actually put it into jewelry. They make jewelry for you on the spot. They have a jeweler there. And then you wear your
Uh,
little polyps
you
home
wear
on
your little
earrings or
polyp earrings.
necklace or bracelet, a keychain. Um, uh, should you get a colonoscopy? Okay. But if they find polyps, then you have to go in more regularly. So if you're age 45 or older, and this is coming from Google, if you're age
Dr.
45 or older,
Google.
yep, and at average risk of colon cancer, you have no colon cancer risk factors other than age, your doctor may recommend a colonoscopy every 10 years. If you
Oh.
have other risk factors, your doctor may recommend a screen sooner.
Hmm.
So I do know someone that had some found, and so now they have to have it like every 5 year or more frequent. So
Hmm.
this is
Interesting.
exciting. You'll have to give us an update. When
No.
is it? When is it? How long?
Well, the
How?
earliest date they could give me was June, so I have plenty of time to prep for it between now and June. But not only did I schedule the colonoscopy, I also scheduled the annual dermatology visit where they check you all over for like funny colored things and weird like lumps and bumps. And I also scheduled a visit with my primary care physician for just like my regular annual checkup physical. So I am going to get everything taken care of between now and June. And only to just like wait another few months and have to repeat the whole process, I guess, all over again. But I was going to ask about the colonoscopy. So I don't know if anyone out there listening to this is like a doctor, a butt doctor, or I guess you would call it an anus doctor. Um, what is the proper term? Is that a proctologist?
Proctologist.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I like anal doctor personally. But
I like butt
how
doctor.
how far in your butt do they look? Like, do they just look around a couple inches in? Or do they really go all the way in
I
and
think they
really
go all the
do
way
some
in
diving? And then how
because
far up do
you
they go? Because, your intestines kinds of wraps around.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a medical doctor, but I think they have to go pretty far up or else they wouldn't have to put you under.
Hmm. Do they go all the way into your stomach?
No.
I don't know. Again, I'm not an anal doctor.
Um, Neither am I, but you're
Surprise.
you're asking someone that does not has not had one.
Spoiler alert, we are not Anyways,
If
and
that's
on
what you came here for, you're probably very disappointed.
yeah. And on that note, just a quick reminder that this podcast is not for kids.
Oh, we might have wanted to say that 10 minutes
Yeah, right.
ago.
Anywho, I have some updates today. So hang on. We have so many updates. First of all, every month we are increasing in subscribers. It's not a giant leap, but it's a slow, steady burn. Part of the jump this month, I would like to think, is due to our new TikTok account. So thank you to each and every one of our subscribers out there, both silent and non silent, the ones who are subscribers and the ones who find us on other platforms. And thanks to any new subscribers that have come to us via our new TikTok account. We appreciate you subscribing, listening, liking, commenting, reaching out, etc., etc. Anyway, Cheryl, do you have any updates?
I do. So, if any of you have been following the ongoings of the Rust set shootings, the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, well, I heard on one of the things that I was watching. I heard on one of the things that I was watching. I saw on one of the things that I was watching. Anyway, it's been a long day. That she wants to be known as Hannah Gutierrez now. She's dropping the Reed. But everyone in the courtroom, including the judge, was calling her Hannah Gutierrez Reed. Anywho, she was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. So,
In the death of
state
Helena Hutchins.
in the
And for
death
those
of
of you
Helena Hutchins.
who maybe haven't listened, season 1, episode 8, on set shooting Rust, that was published on 3/5 of 2023. You can go back and listen to it, and that's the context that you need with regards to this Hannah Gutierrez information. So we kind of
Yeah.
Cheryl breaks down that Alec Baldwin movie set Rust, where the was it cinematographer was fatally
Yes.
shot and killed, Helena Hutchins. Super, super sad, tragic story. Um, and also I think I isn't that the episode where I really go into Alec Baldwin's wife, Ilaria Baldwin, who's from
Yes.
Connecticut?
Yeah, the one that has a disappearing and reappearing
Yeah.
accent.
How do you
Um,
say cucumber? How do you say, I cook in the kitchen? Like she literally pretends like she goes in and out of pretending she's from Spain.
you know,
So
it's
much fun. I think she's like a shapeshifter or something. But anyway.
yeah, why would you think that no one would catch that? Maybe she just
I
doesn't care.
don't know. My brother and I, so I have a twin brother. For those of you who are listening to this who don't know me personally, because Cheryl thinks that all our subscribers and listeners actually are just personal friends of mine, which could, which could be true. But anyway, I'm just here to tell you some of the listeners are family, so it's not all friends.
Oh,
Anyway, I have a twin brother, and he and I used to work on the wine train, which, for those of you who are familiar with the Napa Valley, it starts in Napa. It takes you up to St. Helena. They take the train engine off. They hook it back. They goes around. They hook it back onto the front, and then it drags the train from St. Helena right back up to Napa. And you sit on the train. You eat. There's 2 dinner services. One dinner service happens while the other half of the train is drinking on the way up valley. Then they switch seats, and the dinner service people get up and leave. We reset the tables. They go into the bar cart. The people in the bar cart come up and sit in the dinner table, and they eat on the way back. So it was always, and each server, when I worked on the wine train, and this was a long time ago in like 1992, 93, we each had four, a station was 4 tables, and the tables I think were 4 tops. So the maximum number of people you could have at any time was 16 people in your station. Sometimes, it was a big group. Sometimes an entire company would buy out the car, whatever, whatever. But I don't remember why I was telling the story. Anyway,
Oh my God. Wow, that was enthralling. Stay tuned. You're gonna have
I
to come
remember.
back.
I remember. Come back next week to find out the rest of this fucking story. Anyway, my brother and I used to pretend sometimes that we were from Jamaica. Now, in all fairness, we used to live in Jamaica, so we had the Jamaican accent pretty good. And we would pretend that we were like Jamaican, like exchange students or something like. I mean, it was so ridiculous and so stupid. I don't know why we did it, but people really enjoy. We tell them we were going to college, and we were just trying to like get through, college, and we were like poor students from the island of Jamaica. I mean, it was so stupid. I think about it now, but sometimes people would buy it. But
I,
I never pretended I was Jamaican, like, for a long period of time. We're talking about maybe an hour that we would pretend. This woman has spent, like, years pretending that she's from a country that she's really not from.
yeah,
Oh,
I don't know. It was amazing. But well, anyway, getting back to the shooting. Um, so, uh, so.
I don't know if that's your stomach making that noise more than your tongue. I mean, I thought a plane was landing earlier when I heard that. It's like this. It's like, it sounds like those noises that whales make in the ocean when they're like recording them. It's all,
Yeah. No, I think what you're hearing is Callie. She's nesting,
oh,
she's making her bed. Oh
oh
my
God,
God.
too funny.
Hannah Gutierrez Reed was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. Alec Baldwin's trial is coming up. And Dave Hall, who was the AD, who was the one that handed the gun to Alec, who called out cold gun, the AD called out cold gun. He pled. What?
Goldfinger.
He pled guilty and got off like with a slap on the wrist type of thing,
Mm.
which is unfortunate. But people are being held accountable. But the max that Hannah could get is only 18 months. She
That's
shows
great.
absolutely no remorse the whole time she's sitting behind the defense table. It's just, now I know that you can't judge people by their face.
Well, I don't know about
But
you.
it's
I
just,
judge people by their faces all the time.
I mean, the girl cannot show any compassion in all the interviews they showed. She just did herself in talking about how it was her responsibility, and but all she cared about, any footage there was of her right after the incident, right after the shooting, is her worrying about her job, not
Hmm.
worrying that someone. Now, I don't know if Helena died on the scene, so I don't know if everyone on the set knew that she had passed away yet. But regardless, this is a very serious incident, and she was worried about her job, and it was just a hot mess, the whole thing. So a lot of people are being sued, and on trial and all of this. But anyway, she has been found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. So that's a pretty big update. And then
Good.
James Clenny. So not James Clenny. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Crumbly.
Gross.
So we talked about Jennifer Crumbly being found guilty. Her son was the shooter at the Oxford High School in Michigan. So his father is now going to go on trial. So stay
Oh, wow.
tuned for that. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for the update, Cheryl. I have some shout outs today. I have a solid shout out for my kid who has been slaying at our weekly TikTok videos. And by the way, for those of you who've seen our TikTok videos, she is putting up some videos for us and we are getting some attention. And then also, I have a second shout out to my sister in law. Um, Thank you so much for your visit. You are the bestest in the westest. Um, on Thursday night, uh, Doreen and Jen and I went to the Ricky Martin Enrique Iglesias Pitbull concert and we shook our bonbons for hours at that and then had so much fun people watching. And then on Friday night, we went to the Pink Martini concert and enjoyed a night of Pink Martini and the NC Symphony that backed them up. So it was really, really nice and super, you know, two totally different kinds of music, but super fun. Anyway, thanks, Jen. Cheryl, do you have any shout outs?
I do. I have a shout out to the AT&T rep inside Fry's grocery store who asked if I use Botox. Now, I know that sounds like that could be offensive. I
Oh my
know that that headline sounds offensive. However, first of all, do you want to talk about a fortuitous situation? I needed a new cell phone provider and I've been working extra hours. So actually taking my butt to a cell phone store. I know you guys do it online. You just buy your phones and then do your whole thing. But
wait, you just said Fry's grocery store. Is Fry's a
uh-huh.
grocery store?
Yeah, it's a market. Do you call it market or grocery
Oh,
store?
I thought you meant like the technology store that's used to sell like computers and stuff called Fry's.
Yeah, that's right. There used to be. No, this was no, no. In Arizona, it's one of the food chains. It's a grocery store.
Oh,
I know that's very confusing because AT&T was in the grocery store. They really were. It wasn't an electronic store. I do know that. I may not know a lot of things, and half the time I don't know where I am. But I do know that I was in the grocery store, and uh these two reps were in there, and I stopped. Normally, I do the no thank you, I'm in a hurry, but I needed a new provider, and so I stopped and talked to them. Anyway, I ended up signing up. It was a young guy and girl. They Well, man and woman. They're young, so I'm calling them guy and girl. But yeah, I asked him. I said, "Do you guys get a lot of business? Because I almost like turned you away, because that's people's normal reaction, right? You're doing your grocery shopping. You don't want to be bothered by a cell phone rep." And they go, "You'd be surprised how much business." I mean, because there I was signing up. But
right.
so I think it came about the Botox thing. Getting back to the Botox thing. Um, so I think the guy asked what I did for a living. I told him I worked at a senior assisted living facility, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool." And the lady, the girl goes, she goes, "Cool, old people are cool," or "Old people." Something I can't remember what she said. "Old people rock." No, she didn't say that. What did she say? Anyway, it was something akin to that. And I said, "Well," and I said, "Yeah," and I said, "Well, and I'm technically a senior myself." And then she goes, "What?" She said, "No." And then she asked how old I was, and I told her. And then she pointed to her forehead and she goes, "Do you use," she's whispering, and I go, "Botox?" She goes, "Yeah." I go, "No." She goes, "Oh my God." Anyway, so what sounded offensive to start off with, it was really kind of cool. I was like, yeah, they made my day. So that's my shout out to the AT&T reps for being
Wow.
in the grocery store. So I could kill two birds with one stone, and also for giving me my ego a little boost.
Yeah, that's really nice. Maybe they did that so that they could sell you a new cell phone.
Well, I was already signing up, but thanks a lot, Joy. It couldn't possibly be because of all the Botox I use. I'm just kidding.
Right? Oh my gosh.
Anyway, so shout out to
Well,
them.
yeah, shout out to them. Um, Nobody ever asks me if I use Botox because I think it's perfectly obvious that I don't.
Shut up.
Also, if I did use it, believe me, it would probably be in an area that was not visible to the human eye. You get
with
my
your
drift. And
with your vag rejuvenation.
that's right. What movie did you ever see Super Bad?
Yeah,
With
I think
Seth
so.
Rogen. Oh my God. Um, in the movie, he talks about this website called the Vagtastic Voyage, which of course I immediately went and looked up and it doesn't exist. But anyway,
You're so funny.
um, so this takes us into letters from our listeners. We have so many
Mm.
letters now, guys, and this was exactly what we begged for all of season one, right, Cheryl?
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And so between the comments that people post on Spotify, the emails that we get, posts on Instagram, TikTok, and emails that just come to our email inbox, we have like we actually get to pick and choose the letters that we actually read out now. At least this week we do. Anyway, shout out. So our first letter comes from Eunice, who, by the way, posted to Abducted in Plain Sight, the Jan Broberg story, which aired on February 25th of this year. For those of you who don't listen or didn't listen to previous episodes, I generally post a comment on every podcast. And this one, Eunice posted something and it said, best shout out ever. Remember, we gave her a shout out.
Yeah.
So thank you, Eunice, for posting on Spotify. They're probably on to me because I post. And then we got an amazing email from the lovely Doreen, who included a combo of several different episodes, but her last little blurb in her email said, you women are extraordinary, funny, sympathetic, and so knowledgeable. What more could you want in a podcast? And then she
Aw.
signs off and it says, bye, fishes. And she put a little fish. So thank you,
Ah,
Doreen, for your
thank you, Doreen.
email. It was so
That's
much
so
fun to
awesome.
read. I know, and I don't know why I don't know about that Lizzie Borden little like jingle nursery rhyme that you always talk about because she knew about it too, and I'd never even heard of it.
Well, just hold on to your butts because we're going to be talking about that next episode.
Ooh, you're gonna actually do something. All right. Well, anyways, guys, here's what we're gonna talk about this week, and we are taking a big time off, or well, it's not a huge time off because there is a lot of murder that you can find, but I'm going to talk about Reddit and I'm going to talk about weird or insane Reddit posts. And I'll say that if you want to find a true crime murder community, you just head over to Reddit. I mean, oh my God. So, remember news groups, Cheryl, from the 90s?
No.
Oh, well, news groups was kind of like an early Reddit. But when you Google Reddit, the link for Reddit shows up and it says right next to it says Reddit, dive into anything. And that's exactly what Reddit is. It's like Nextdoor, news groups from the 90s, forums, blogs, Twitter, and the unfiltered universe's opinions all rolled into one. So it's just like, I mean, you can post anyway. It doesn't my explanation doesn't do it justice. But here is what Wikipedia has to say about Reddit. It says Reddit is an American social news aggregation, content rating, and a forum social network. Registered users submit content to the site, such as links, text posts, images, and videos, which are then voted up or down by other members. But it's not just voted up or down, it's also commented on. And then there are subreddits. So they're basically threads where you can just go down this rabbit hole. And some of the best stuff is literally reading the posts that people, the things that people will say about the photos, videos, images, text posts, and links that people are throwing up there.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of reminds me a little bit of Twitter, but it seems like there's a little more humanity on Reddit than there is on Twitter. Twitter just seems kind of, like, but once in a while I'll stumble on a Twitter post or comment to a Twitter post. And this is what I love about Reddit too, is that it's so funny or so outrageous that it will just make me laugh. And I'll think this is why the internet is just so amazing. The other thing is, if you have something that you think that nobody else has, or you don't have a community, go to Reddit. When I when I was looking for homeopathic remedies for psoriasis, plaque psoriasis, which I have, I went to Reddit. When I was looking for um, homeopathic remedies for like clenching my jaw at night, I went to Reddit. It's so fascinating to see, and there's a community for all sorts of different things. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about Reddit, and I'm going to just say that when I went and did a little dive on true crime and murder, um, there's a lot out there, Cheryl, that we've actually covered. There's Rebecca Zahau, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, Abducted in Plain Sight, the Nexium cult, just to mention a few. So, for
Mm-hmm.
those of you listening to this, if you haven't heard those episodes, go back to season one and listen to them. But if you want to read up on it as well, there's tons of content out there on Reddit. Um, so, I'm going to start with, what is the one Reddit post that you will never forget? And so, I'm going to read a couple of these posts that just made
Okay.
me laugh so hard. The first one is a girl who accidentally set her language to Spanish on her computer. So she posted to Reddit asking for help on how to set it back to English. But but just but just to fuck with her, everybody replied in Spanish.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Isn't that
That
funny? And
is so
people
funny.
actually posted real instructions on how to change it, but all of the answers were in Spanish. And
That
after
is
the
so
first person did it, people just ran with it. It was so funny. And I mean, the answers were just so funny. Anyway, another one was, my favorite post is probably the guy who posted in Today I Fucked Up, which was a subreddit called Today I Fucked Up, and it was about his adopted son, who he had raised with a heavy influence from his native Chinese culture. Visits to China regularly, regular Chinese lessons to learn language and to learn about the culture, and then, teaching the child about food, etc. Turns out the kid was actually Korean.
Oh shit. Oh my
Isn't
God.
that funny?
That is so
Anyway,
hilarious.
that subreddit has since been deleted, but it was pretty
Oh,
funny. And the last the last one that I'm going to the last post that I won't forget is, there was an Ask Reddit thread that asked, if you could have sex with anyone in the world right now, who would it be? And the top comment was a guy who wished he could sleep with his wife who had died of cancer. And the first reply to it
oh,
and the first reply was, I also choose this guy's dead wife.
oh,
Cheryl, that's pretty funny.
no.
Come
I
on.
think it's sad.
It it's well, his answer was very sweet, because, he wished he could sleep with his wife.
Yeah.
But
And
the
then
other but
somebody,
then there was a slew of people going, "I also choose this guy's wife." So, but the
oh,
first reply was so funny. "Come
that's
on."
not cool. It's not
Well,
cool. The guy was being sensitive and somebody just shit on his feelings.
well, I gotta tell you, there's a comedian born every minute. Anyway,
Not that guy.
the next thing that I want to uh talk about is the most insane Reddit post that you have seen. So I did a little bit of digging, and this is actually a murder story. It's very, very like it's a horrifying, horrifying story. So hold on for those of you who enjoy the murder genre, of which I don't. However, this story was so crazy. The post a, was so messed up. The person said, I read once where a mom posted about how her mother had accidentally killed her daughter. The daughter was incredibly allergic to coconut oil, but the grandmother didn't believe it was true. And the mom and dad went out for the evening, and while the grandma babysat, she decided to brush the kids' hair out with coconut oil. And when she started to react, the grandma gave her a bunch of Benadryl and put her to bed. But because of the Benadryl, she was too sleepy to alert anyone. And by the time the parents got home, it was too late. The post was just too awful and too painful to read. Isn't that awful?
That is
Here's the
so awful.
Isn't that a horrible story? Here's the thing. I don't even know how somebody could like sit down and type that out to post it to Reddit. Like that's how crazy that story is.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, I'm doing a dive into like, true crime, murder, insane Reddit stories. I gotta just tell you, the number of crazy, crazy stories that I came up on, well, I mean, there was no end to the stories. And let me just tell you, the majority of them have like not safe for work, like in SFW, in the subject line, so that people aren't like at work and reading these, because, some of them are really genuinely messed up.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Um
my God.
I know, isn't that crazy? Okay, what are some really, really weird subreddits? So, as somebody who doesn't spend a ton of time on Reddit, I asked my nephew, Alex, how would you describe what a subreddit is? And he said, so a subreddit is basically a thread. So somebody will have like, it would be like if you had a club, and then it would be like all of the club activities and club members. So the subreddit is like knitting, and then, or knitting socks. And then it's all the people who have really interesting or information or patterns or whatever to post about knitting socks. So I got to tell you, there's so many weird subreddits. I literally ran out of like energy, but I'm going to just read a couple of examples. If you're looking for advice on how to reduce swelling after you tripped and rolled your ankle, you won't find it here, because this subreddit is for fetishists who try to sprain their ankles because they like it.
Oh my gosh. What?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's
Oh my God.
crazy.
Some
What is
guy,
it they like about it?
I guess they like the process of like you sprain your ankle, it swells up, and then it has to heal, and then you have to bind the ankle, and then you have to limp around while it's healing. I mean, it just sounds crazy, but whatever. Another one is some guy had a reoccurring dream about a society where legs were permanently painted yellow for attraction purposes. So he ended up having a fetish for it in real life and called the process of painting the legs feeding the legs. And there was a whole subreddit on feeding the legs where people would talk about painting their legs yellow. Isn't that
What? Oh my
crazy?
God. It's so crazy. There's so many subreddits around the world that we don't
Yeah.
even know about, you know?
Yeah. There's one called Chairs Underwater. where it's just a bunch of pictures of bodies of water that you can see that there's a chair at the bottom of the water.
Oh
Like,
my God, are you
yeah,
serious?
yeah, swimming swimming
Wow.
pools, yeah, swimming pools, lakes, rivers, like the beach. I mean, they're all underwater. It's so genuinely bizarre. There's also one for zipper hair, for hair that gets caught in zippers.
There's a fetish for it?
No, there's a subreddit for it. And then
Well, I mean, but
people
what do they
post
talk about?
no, they post pictures of hair that's been caught in zippers.
Oh my God.
So
Wow. Well,
some of the pictures are like, they caught their hair in a zip, but some are like zippers and the coat's just like hanging on a hanger, but there's a hair that got caught in the zipper. I mean, it's so genuinely bizarre.
wow. That is
There's
crazy.
It's not crazy. There's one called Velociraptor Earth, where the Earth is not round or flat, but shaped like a velociraptor.
Oh my God. But you know what? I can't criticize or excuse me, talk shit about this stuff because I watch people eating.
Oh God.
That's what mukbangs are,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. There's one called Fourth World Problems. It's a place for people to role play as cavemen. So you know how people will say like third world problems or first world problems?
Yeah, no,
Well, this
I
one's
get it.
called fourth world
Fourth
problems.
world. Oh
So
my
they
God.
go in there and role play as cavemen. It's hysterical. There's another one called sleep tripping where people who don't sleep for several days, they don't sleep for many days and it makes them feel like they're high. And then they go in there
Oh,
and they post like commentary or things that they did while they were sleep tripping. Isn't
oh
that
gosh.
crazy?
That is so
There's
crazy.
there's a subreddit called Therian, and it's a subreddit for people who identify as animals.
Oh my God.
That one's good. There's also an X-ray porn subreddit. It's cool images from radiology. So people just post really cool pictures that of like X-rays that they've had.
Oh,
And some
geez.
are really funny. It's like, the guy who had the Barbie doll heads crammed up his butt.
What?
Oh yeah. I remember, I want to say it was a class I took. I don't remember. Maybe it was anatomy. I don't remember if it was health class or something, but they the teacher had a x-ray of a guy who went into, I'm sure you couldn't do this now because of HIPAA violation, but he went into the ER because he said he had something trapped in his butt and he needed to get it out. And so they did an x-ray and he had like 7 Barbie doll heads crammed up his butt.
Oh, good God. Are you kidding?
No. I mean,
Well, speaking of going to the doctor for things in your butt, do you remember a long time ago Richard Gere had a gerbil up his butt?
no, that was not a real story. That was an
Yes, it
urban
was.
No, it was not. It was an urban legend. Okay, here
Well, so many people repeat it like it was
listen,
true, and
let
I'm
me
just
let
carrying
me
on
tell
that
you
trend.
let me tell you the story. This is the story. And this is how I heard it back when we were probably getting really high. I'm just saying, because I don't really know. There's so much detail in this story, but this is how it was explained to me that he took a piece of PVC pipe and he stuck the PVC pipe in his butt. And then what he did was he gave this gerbil cocaine. So the gerbil was crazy. And then he put it in the PVC pipe, and then the gerbil only had one way to run because, it was blocked off. So it ran in his butt. And then he got off on the gerbil running around in his butt. And then he had to go to the ER and have it fished out.
So that's not a true it's not a true story, right?
I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. It
I'm
sounds, first
Googling
of
it
all,
right now.
it's way, way too specific and weird.
I I never heard that it wasn't true.
I
So,
mean,
I don't
it's
know.
just crazy. So I just typed in to Reddit, where did the Richard Gere gerbil rumor come from? Um,
Uh-huh.
and so somebody posted, oh my God, this is so long. It says, the Richard Gere was once hospitalized for gerbiling rumor emerged sometime around 1984 and quickly spread across the country by word of mouth. The legend states that Gere was hospitalized at California Cedars-Sinai Hospital when the sex act went wrong. Gerbiling is a myth which gained popularity in the 80s, propelled by the Richard Gere rumor. There's no evidence that Richard Gere was ever at Cedars-Sinai Hospital, period. And gerbiling itself is likely mythical. There's never been one confirmed case of a person being hospitalized for partaking in it. Another urban legend, which emerged at roughly the same time as the Richard Gere hamster story and is now mostly forgotten, is that Rod Stewart was once hospitalized for orally pleasing so many sailors they needed to have his stomach pumped. This rumor was started maliciously by Stewart's recently fired publicist as an act of revenge. Can we then assume that there was some maliciousness in the way that Gere's stories were also introduced and spread, rather than it just being a random prank? Possibly in the 90s, hot on the release of Gere's hit movie Pretty Woman, an anonymous prankster flooded fax machines across Hollywood with fake press releases from the ASPCA warning about Richard Gere's past abuse of gerbils. Although some sources say hamster, the timing and the scale of the prank is interesting. Not only does Richard Gere believe that the gerbil story was started maliciously, he also thinks he knows who did it. In 1974, Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone both starred in a movie called Lords of Flatbush. By all accounts, they really didn't like each other, and one day Gere spilled chicken juice on Stallone's car, and a fight kicked off. Gere was fired and recast. Richard Gere believes that it was Sylvester Stallone who started the rumor and possibly kept it going in the 90s. There's no evidence of this, and Gere has never really talked publicly about the rumors. But it's interesting as the two actors shared an agent who was known to never allow them in the room together. If the gerbil rumor affected Gere's public image as much as it has, it's likely been a factor in the roles he was offered by said agent. So, in a way, Stallone is the only person who's ever benefited from this rumor. Isn't that
Oh my
interesting?
God.
And
Wow.
I guess the gerbil story was debunked by Snopes. So, anyway, guys, if you want to find information on anything, crazy or not crazy, you just go to Reddit. Anyway, getting back to weird subreddits, Grandma's Pantry is another weird one. It's photos of strange things from Grandma's Pantry. And I got to tell you, it's so funny. What is it about grandparents' pantries that just house the weirdest shit? One of the pictures was jelly beans, pickled jelly beans, like in like vinegar in a jar. Who's gonna eat
Oh.
that?
Mm. Well, maybe they had Alzheimer's or something.
I don't know. Anyway, the last one that's a funny subreddit is maps without New Zealand, and they're basically world maps that were drawn without New Zealand on them. I don't know if they hadn't discovered New Zealand yet, if they didn't realize it was there, if they just left it off because they didn't like it. It's just unreal.
Oh my God.
I know it's
Wow,
so,
that's
so
hilarious.
weird. Isn't that funny? Anyway, I just have to read you this hilarious, hilarious story that I found. So if you're feeling down and you want to laugh, and everybody knows they don't put out enough funny movies. I mean, as someone who loves comedy and loves comedic films, I get so annoyed that they don't put out I mean, if you're lucky, we get one really funny movie every 3 to 5 years. I feel like, like when the movie Bridesmaids came out, I was so excited because it was an all-female cast. It was hysterical, and I could watch it more than once and laugh my ass off. So, anywho, if you want a funny story, go to Reddit because you will read so many funny stories, you'll be laughing. But I have to read this story that I found because there's also a lot of really crazy, creepy shit out there. As a bagpiper, I play many gigs. Recently, I was asked by a funeral director to play at a graveside service for a homeless man. He had no family or friends, so the service was to be at a pauper cemetery in the Kentucky back country. As I was not familiar with the backwoods, I got lost, and being a typical man, I didn't stop for directions.
Oh,
I
Jesus Christ.
finally arrived an hour late and saw the funeral guy had evidently gone, and the hearse was nowhere in sight. There were only diggers and a crew left, and they were eating lunch. I felt badly and apologized to the men for being late. I went to
Oh
the
my
side of the
God.
grave and looked down, and the vault lid was already in place. I didn't know what else to do, so I started to play. The workers put down their lunches and began to gather around, and I played my heart and soul out for a man with no family and friends. I played like I've never played before for this homeless man, and as I played Amazing Grace, the workers began to weep. They wept, I wept, and we all wept together. When I finished, I packed up my bagpipes and started for the car. Though my head hung low, my heart was full, and as I opened the door to my car, I heard one of the workers say, "Sweet mother of Jesus, I never seen nothing like that before, and I've been putting in septic tanks for 20 years."
Ay, ay,
That's so
ay.
funny. Oh my God. And then the other thing I have to just, okay, I also have to read this story. It's a little bit long, but it's hilarious. Hilarious. Okay. So bear with
Like
me, Cheryl.
Hilaria.
Yeah, Cheryl, you got to focus. Okay. Last night, my wife's boss from her brand new job invited us over for dinner. On the drive over, my wife reiterated many times to me just how important it was to make a good impression. I scoffed and arrogantly informed my silly wife that I always make good impressions. This is something
Uh-oh.
I this is something I would do. I would have been like, "Are you kidding?" I'd be like, everybody loves me." My wife's boss is a single lady in her 50s, so it was just the three of us. We chit-chatted over drinks and salads and seemed to really be hitting it off. She laughed at my well-timed, perfectly appropriate jokes, and my wife seemed pleased. Soon she brought out the main course, a nice big juicy steak for each of us. As I began to cut into my steak, I was discouraged to discover how undercooked the steak was. Now, I've had my fair share of rare steak. I prefer medium, but I can handle rare. This was several minutes on a hot grill short of rare. I probably could have
Oh my
resuscitated
God.
the cow if
Oh
I.
my.
Instead, I sat there fidgeting with my knife and fork, worrying about how I was going to get away with not eating the steak. Claim veganism? No, I'd already feigned great enthusiasm upon seeing the steak. Just then, our hostess excused herself to the kitchen to take care of some dessert preparations. As I looked across the fancy dining room table at the open window of this third story apartment, a cartoon light bulb appeared over my head. I knew I had to be decisive, and realizing that she could return at any moment, I committed. I grabbed the steak with my hand, gently shook off the juice, and executed a perfect throw right through the center of the open window. Here's the big time fuck you. The window wasn't open. It was the cleanest freaking window you've ever seen in your life. That is until my mostly raw slab of steak slammed up against it and slowly slid down, leaving a trail of bloody juice in its wake. My
Oh
wife,
my God.
my wife, whose steak was a nice medium rare and was unaware of my predicament, turned, jaw dropped, and stared at me like I was an alien from another planet. This look then slowly morphed into more of a "there is no place on this planet you can ever hide from me" expression of demonic anger. Remember, she's
Oh my
told
God.
how he's got to make a good impression.
Yes, yes,
My,
yes.
my, my boss's wife heard the thud of the steak on the window impact and came quickly. She took in the scene, the steak sitting on the windowsill, the bloody trail, my empty plate, and then gave me an inquisitive, puzzled look. I just didn't know what to say. It felt like a minute of silence, but probably was only 3 to 4 seconds. And finally, the best I could manage was, "I am so sorry. I'm such a klutz. I don't know. I was just cutting it and then it slipped." Asked my wife, really, right, honey? With no help coming from that direction. "I'm going to clean this up. I can't believe this happened. I'm so sorry," etc., etc., etc. Both women continued to stare at me like I'd escaped from the loony bin as I smeared the blood around the window with my cloth napkin, dusted off the steak, and continued to mutter my incoherent explanation. I I knew no one was buying the story. I knew what I had to do. I sheepishly returned to my seat and proceeded to eat every bite of that disgusting, cold, chewy, bloody raw steak.
That had been
I,
on the floor now, too.
yeah, I remained pretty quiet the rest of the evening. My wife's only 2 words to me since the incident are, "I'm fine." Oh
Fine.
my God. So, so funny.
Oh
Anyway,
my God. That is
anyway,
hilarious.
so funny. I laughed so hard when I read that.
That is
Anyway,
very
I
well
I
written,
was
too.
I know I was gonna ask you, Cheryl, do you ever like go to Reddit and like look for information or look for subreddits about stuff like medical conditions or murder?
Murder, usually. If I go there, like there's some theory that I want to hear that people have. It's also where I found some of the questions for Am I the Asshole that we did last year.
Oh, right.
But usually, I don't go there a lot, but if I do, it's usually some murder that's led me there.
Interesting.
Oh,
I never go to Reddit. I'm on Twitter a lot and I mostly go there to see like for example, this last Tuesday was Super Tuesday and for those of you who are just casual listeners and don't know us, I love politics. So I like to follow politics and I like to go to Twitter so I can see um it sounds like you have like
can you hear that?
it
Oh
it
my
sounds like you're squeegeeing off that window from that Reddit story. It's all
God. How did you know? No, that's
I don't
Callie. She's nesting on the couch. You know how they pull the blanket or the bed, and
know.
yeah,
How
she just
funny.
wanted to be part. Anyway, go ahead.
So yeah, I don't tend to go to Reddit, but I love reading funny stories. And
Well,
so I
how
what?
did you? What made you go there now?
Well, because we did an episode on insane Reddit posts.
No, silly. I mean, but what made you even think of that?
Reddit?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I just thought it might be fun. I wanted to find out some information on some true crime stuff. I wanted to see sometimes you can find people, and this is like you don't always know if it's true or not, but people will claim to have insider information on cases and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Or, like with I've been following that case in that Mormon Instagram influencer mom, who is had a business partner and she's in prison now. And um, there's people will say I'm so and so's neighbor, or I used to work with her, or we used to live, next to each other. We used to go to the same church. And you don't always know if they're lying or telling the truth, but sometimes a lot of the information seems real. Okay, did you just fall down?
No, I'm sorry. I hit my
Cheryl, what the fuck is happening at your house right now?
I'm so sorry.
It's like you're reenacting all the stories I'm telling about the steak flying at the window. All of a sudden I hear
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. You guys, I'm in a new space, and so, uh, yeah, so things are
oh
different.
God, too too funny. Anyway,
Oh my
anyway,
God.
so for those of you who are listening to this and have made it this far, first of all, congratulations. Because that's no, that's no small feat. Even, even I almost turned this off 10 to 15 minutes ago.
Oh my gosh.
But if you've made it this far and you're still subscribed, you're still listening, we'd love to hear from you if you belong to like if you follow subreddits, if you belong to interesting groups, and or if you have ever used Reddit for, something interesting like how far does the camera go up your ass when you get a colonoscopy.
Oh my gosh.
So we'd love to hear from you because right now, I don't know if Cheryl and I have anything else that we can actually contribute to this particular podcast.
Oh man.
Anyway,
Wow.
Cheryl, even though we didn't talk about murder today, you know what is a crime?
What's that, Joy?
This podcast is a crime. This specific weekly recording today is a huge crime.
Oh.
But we are also out of time.
Oh, that is a crime. Well, thank you for listening, everyone, and don't complicate your day. All creativity, commentary, and opinions in this podcast belong to Cheryl and Joy. Music composed and mixed by Gabe McKeon. Logo and merch created and managed by Kevin Callan. Podcast editing and advertising by Joy McKeon. Legal representation provided by John Bojezek. Please like, subscribe, follow, and listen. You can listen to us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, you can find us on Instagram and YouTube, and you can email us at murderandeverythingelse@gmail.com.
Bye, fishes.